Hey everybody, Andy here with Mossy Creek Fly Fishing. Today is Tuesday, May 28th. Hopefully y'all had a great Memorial Day weekend. I'll be bringing you your fishing forecast today. We've got a nice week ahead of us. We got a great break from some of the heat that we were feeling moving into this point. This week looks like we've got our temperatures in like your mid to high 70s. And the lows are even getting down into the 40s. So definitely a nice difference from last week where we were getting up, towards the 90s some days. And I know outside of this valley, even into the 90s. So things were getting warm, but we'll feel that cool off a little bit this week. We'll see our stream temperatures fall a little bit as a result of that. We've had some good rainfall, so conditions really look great for the week. So let's jump into it. We'll start up in the brook trout streams. Flows on most of those streams are in very good shape. Some of the surrounding areas around us have had some big thunderstorms come through with the potential to drop pretty heavy amounts of rainfall, but they've been pretty localized, and when we were checking gauges this morning, most everything seems to be in pretty good shape, especially here around the valley. We didn't receive a ton of rain here, but I know certain areas definitely got more, so something to keep an eye on at the early part of this week. If you're getting out, maybe give us a ring or check the gauges, but really there's not a whole lot that we're worried about. Most of the areas within about an hour to an hour and a half of here are all at a good water level. So mountain streams fishing well, water's clear, it's flowing well. We've got tons of bugs coming off up there. Everything ranging from big giant eastern stoneflies to your small little yellow sallies. We've still got some drakes out in the mountains as well, so yellow drakes and green drakes we've seen. And the fishing as a result, when you have those big bugs out, fishing gets great. So when you're out fishing, as far as choosing your flies go right now, up in your mountain streams, I would recommend starting with a bigger, bushier dry fly. A lot of people come in here and look at some of the dry flies that we have and they say, oh, that's way too big for brook trout, but they're aggressive. Those little fish will still eat a big fly. So don't feel like you're gonna outsize them with some of your like size 12 dry flies, or even sometimes a little bit bigger than that. We'll fish a lot of PMX in the mountains this time of year. Try to pay attention to the colors of bugs that you're seeing. So with your little yellow stones, those are obviously yellow. Yellow can be a great color to throw. Stimulators, PMX in yellow, lots of good options. But you're seeing yellow drakes also, green drakes. So green can be another good color. But as per usual with brook trout in the springtime, when flows are good, the fish are feeding. So don't get too caught up on your fly pattern of choice. Just get out there, work on getting a nice drag-free drift, and you ought to be rewarded with some fish. I was out fishing in the mountains towards the latter half of last week, following some rain. The morning was a little bit slower. Afternoon definitely was the prime time to be out there, so keep that in mind if you're trying to decide what time to go. If you've got limited hours, then I would tell you to focus a little bit more on those afternoon hours. And that's going to be true really with most of our streams right now because a lot of the bugs are out in the afternoon. But I will tell you that on our spring creeks here, Mossy Creek and Beaver Creek, we've started to see pretty good numbers of tricos out in the morning and lots of fish coming up for those. Just talked to a gentleman here in the shop who was out fishing Mossy early today and was catching tons of fish on little tiny dry flies, small ant patterns, small tricos. But when they get on those small bugs, they can get picky. So good to load up on a few different patterns of those. Have some ants available as well, because as we move a little bit more into these warmer months, we're going to start to see that transition. We'll start seeing a lot more things like beetles and grasshoppers and ants becoming their primary food source. So right now we do still have those mayflies around, but we are going to be transitioning over here shortly. So loading up on beetles and grasshoppers and things of that nature will be very good moving forward. And even right now, you could certainly still catch fish on those things. With these big bugs out, fish are looking up, and again, a well-presented dry fly is going to be more of the key than the exact hatch matching pattern. Looking at some other trout opportunities outside of the spring creeks, the state is still stocking. We don't have much longer for that. But if you keep your eyes on that daily trout stocking schedule, you could try to be at some of those places a few days after and get into some fish there. Your delayed harvest are still online, so you can get out and fish those as well. And really everything I've said up to now as far as the different bugs is going to remain true on those. But just keep in mind we've only got a few more weeks. Once we get into, I believe off the top of my head, it's June 15th, those will open for harvest. And after that, you're not going to be finding a whole lot of trout there. So if you've got a favorite delayed harvest that you're wanting to get out on 1 or 2 more times, now would be the time to do it. And you know, as another reminder after that, if you're somebody who maybe doesn't do a whole lot of trout fishing, just remember that you don't have to have a trout license after June 15th. So if you wanted to get out on some of the spring creeks or some of your native trout and things like that, you no longer have to worry about that after June 15th. So something to keep in mind there as well. And then the tailwaters, the Jackson tailwaters at a great level right now. You can get out and wade fish it, you can float fish it, and reports from there have been good. Lots of fish being caught on nymphs in your riffle water. But you'll see fish coming up for dry flies there as well. And again, most of your bug activity would be a little bit later on in the day. That about covers it for trout. Let's talk about smallmouth a little bit. Like I said, water temps are going to be dropping a little bit this week, but fishing's really been very good. We're sort of in that in-between from spawn to fish moving to their summer holding areas. So as you're floating the river, you're going to start finding fish more and more spread out over the next couple of weeks. But don't be surprised if it takes a little bit for those fish to really settle into their summer lies. And once they get there, they should be kind of in those areas for the next couple of months. But numbers have been good. People are catching a lot of fish for this time of year. And so if you're ready to start transitioning from trout to smallmouth, or if you just want to do something different, it's a great time to get out and float the river. Generally, the river's not too terribly busy yet, as long as it's not something like Memorial Day weekend. So nice time to be out and float the river. Water levels are great. We're right around average flow. So you can get out and pretty much get anywhere in the river right now, which is really nice. And you're also going to see musky fishing continue to be good while our water temps aren't too high. With that temperature dropping this week, they should be very active, and people are catching musky on some of your smaller baits this time of year. So don't feel like you have to go throw your 12 or 13 inch things. Their metabolisms are up. They're eating like crazy, and so you know we have more musky caught this time of year on smaller bass size stuff than we do on great huge giant musky lures or flies. So keep that in mind if you're out on the river as well. And if the water's low and clear, you've got chances at carp as well. So a lot of different stuff you can be doing right now. Great time of year to just get out and fish because just about everything's worthwhile. If y'all have questions, you can reach us here at the store. Happy to answer any of those, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.